And we're finally here. We only got 5 more games left to tackle in this series, and it's been a lot of fun. I think you know the rules by now. I talk about Kirby games in order and then put them on this tier list that we've been using for the past few months. But I've got nothing much else to say. Let's just finish what we started. Okay, so remember when I said that Kirby's Dream Land felt like a blueprint to create Kirby's Adventure? Well, I'm gonna go a step further and say that Return to Dream Land makes Adventure look like the blueprint. It left so much of an impact that, oh hey look, it got a remake. We'll talk about that in a bit. Can I just say that I love the levels in this game? They remind me of 64's in terms of theming and locales. While they look somewhat basic on the surface, there's quite a bit to unpack here. Raisin Ruins has these cute little pyramids, while White Wafers has this one ice temple thingy. But my personal favorite is the entirety of Nutty Noon. You start off in the clouds and slowly ascend up a tower into space. And the music in these stages just make it all the more memorable. Look, I just really like Nutty Noon. Also, major shout out to Egg Engines for making that one stage from Kirby 64 into a whole ass world. I just love how most of the world takes place in the factory. They even got their own Waddle Dee equivalents, it's kinda cute. Can I also just say that I love how copy abilities work in this game? They got the Superstar approach with them, giving almost all of them a really wide moveset. And there are even puzzles in these stages that revolve around using the copy abilities and their varied movesets, rewarding you with an energy sphere. And these aren't just standard collectibles either. They actually give you a reason to collect some. And no, it's not to get to the final boss. Thank God. They unlock ability rooms and silly little challenge stages, which I never played, but they're still cool regardless, and I recommend checking them out. Kirby this time around has the super abilities, and they're fine, I guess. Every other stage there's an enemy that's just souped up, and inhaling them gives you that souped up power. I mean, they're pretty cute, but the novelty wears off pretty fast. You kinda just go up to an enemy, use super ability, rinse and repeat. I did find enjoyment in using the snowball though, just for the satisfaction of catching enemies into a snowball and then exploding. Is kinda cool. Though, if you destroy a certain block, a portal will open up to another dimension, and oh my god, these were some of my favorite moments in the game. Kirby's stripped from using copy abilities and can only use their base moveset. You know, destroying blocks and spitting out stars in the right time. All of this while the walls close in on you. It makes it feel really tense. I just love it. There's also a mini-boss you have to fight, but I don't think anyone cares about that. And speaking of the bosses, they're alright. Nothing too basic, but nothing too complicated. I do like that each boss has a second phase, so I can't just kill it in a few seconds. That's pretty good. But they're not really that notable with the exception of like 2 of them. Those 2 being the Grand Doomer for its cool fake out, and Magolor for being an interesting twist villain. These are nothing new for the series when Marks from Superstar exists, but I'd say here it's so much better. He's initially just treated as someone who's in need of Kirby's help. He rewards them for clearing a world, he cheers them on. A bastard is what he truly is. I remember initially seeing his betrayal and it blowing my 11-year-old mind. And the fact that super abilities were implemented in the final fight was just so cool. I loved every second of it. So yeah, I like this game. I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier. Don't get me wrong, it's great, and I'd 100% recommend it for newcomers. It's just that some of the later games are better. I also might as well talk about this, but Kirby's Return to Dream Land Deluxe is a pretty good remake. The immediate thing I noticed was, oh my god, the art style looks so cute. Rather than everything looking like it was put through an emulator, this game went the extra mile. Because everything has the aesthetic of a pop-up book, and it gives the game quite the unique identity. New abilities were also added, like Sand, which is overpowered as all hell, and Mecha. He's a silly looking robot. There are even 2 new game modes that can be unlocked over the course of gameplay. Just buy the remake, it's the definitive way to play the game in my opinion, and it's a pretty good A tier because of that. Oh my god, they got a gacha system in Kirby now. I'm gonna be honest, there isn't really much new I can say about Triple Deluxe, because it's more of the same. And hey, that's not a bad thing. More Return to Dreamland is pretty good. The new stuff that is added is also quite notable, I love it. I love the levels in this game, they're so great. Some of my favorites were the circus stages. They really give off Funhouse vibes, especially during the mirrored sections. Another one has to be World 5 with the walls closing and it really makes it claustrophobic. And the entirety of World 4 has jungles and haunted houses. But we also got collectibles in its form of sunstones. And I'm gonna be honest, they're worse than the energy spheres. I mean, they serve their purpose. Collect enough of them and you get to access the world's boss. While they're not terrible, I kinda wish you could unlock things like some cute minigames. What I do like though is how to get them. They act more like puzzles. Sometimes you need to use a copy ability, sometimes you need to use tilt controls, and sometimes it's both. They aren't difficult in the slightest, but I like the simple puzzles. Though I guess while we're on the subject of puzzles, we got something new today. Triple Deluxe has the Miracle Fruit. Instead of getting souped up abilities, you just get a souped up suck. And I obviously like it better than the super abilities. I don't know, I just like the more puzzle side of Kirby. Even if they're super easy, they're just kind of fun. I like the little snowmen, it's cute. They might not be as stylish as the super abilities, but I think it does enough to help it stand out from the crowd. And I gotta say, the bosses. All of them are so memorable, I can't even stress that enough. I like how they use the background and sometimes attack from there, so you can't always just hit it, you gotta dodge as well. My favorite was and will always be Pyribbit. He's just a fire frog, I love it. Dude, I even love the final boss, it's so good. I know that I keep mentioning the final bosses in this retrospective, but can you blame me? It's the final arc of the game. Queen Sectonia might be a bit underdeveloped story-wise, but in terms of an actual fight, yeah, she's pretty fun. Especially the final phase where you use the Hypernova ability to spit a piss laser back at her face. It's just so satisfying. Hell yeah, dude. To wrap it up though, Kirby Triple Deluxe was quite a step up from its predecessor in terms of gameplay. It just expanded on what made Return to Dreamland so good. I think the top of A tier will do it just fine. Okay, this game is pretty good. I actually didn't play this game at all when it came out. Weirdly enough, I didn't really consider that it existed until a few years ago, but I played it for today, and I think that this game is better than Triple Deluxe. Kirby Planet Robobot has so much stuff going for it, I don't even know where to begin. The levels in terms of set pieces and design are wonderful. Mechanization isn't my favorite setting in fiction, but here I'd say it does a pretty good job. Stuff like enemies, buildings, whole-ass environments take place in a mechanical setting. There are also some cute ideas that tie in with that setting. Like, there are Waddle Dees and cars that follow traffic laws. Rhythm Route is an entire world that emulates the idea of a music-based city, and it doesn't even end there. I also noticed that there's a really interesting food theme that goes with this game. Stuff like the juice box apartments in World 2, or the spaghetti being held up by forks to emulate telephone poles, or this one stage in World 3 that takes place entirely in a freezer. It's this type of creativity that just makes me love this game so much. It's all so creative and full of charm, and I'd love to see this more often in future games. This time, Kirby has access to this thing called the Robobot armor, and out of the 3 modern games I've covered so far, it's easily my favorite. Most stages will have this giant mech suit. Hop into it, and you're gonna do a lot of puzzle solving, which I like, so I don't mind too much. The armor stands out in the sense that it can gain copy abilities just like Kirby, or modes as it's called in the game. Though there are only 13 modes, while Kirby has 27 copy abilities, and I'm not complaining, although a mirror mode would be kinda cool. It's just satisfying as hell to destroy everything in your path with this suit on. My personal favorite being the parasol mode, because you can just fly. Though, some modes also change the gameplay up. Jet mode turns the game into an auto-scrolling shoot-'em-up, and real mode just makes your armor into a car. These are few and far between, but all the times where it does show up, it's all super fun and great, and I love this game so much. It's an S tier and I won't elaborate further. Like, come on man, Waddle Dee cars. This game is, I know that this is a pretty cold take when it comes to Kirby Star Allies, so I won't spend too much time here. But to put my general thoughts out there, I don't like this game very much. The biggest thing I hear about when it comes to this game's criticism is that it's too easy. And I agree with that, but I think too easy is too general. Most Kirby games are easy. But my problems lie a little bit further into that criticism, so I kinda just want to talk about that. Star Allies has the main mechanic of turning 3 enemies at a time to friends, which sounds like a good idea. It kinda reminds me of Superstar and how that was handled. But here's the thing. Having a full party of friends easily trivializes any challenge that would come in your way. Combine that with the fact that you can mix elements and physical weapons to make something like a fire sword, and you're near unstoppable. So why not play the game with only Kirby, I thought to myself. And doing that just made me realize how dull and boring the level design is. Especially at the Jambastion base, it all feels like white noise. There's just moving geometry. There's the occasional memorable thing, like the giant rolling ball of Waddle Dees, but nothing that really sticks out. Though there were some glimmers of hope with the friend abilities. There's some pretty good ones like the Friend Circle, which just turns you and your allies into a careening ball that plows through enemies. But there are also some pretty boring ones, like the Friend Bridge. Does this look like fun to you? Though, let's discuss some positives because I've been pretty negative right now. I do like the actual story that goes on, especially with the 3 mage sisters. I like Flimburge, she's my favorite. And the amount of fan service this game adds is mind-blowing. You obviously got the Dream Friends, who are just characters from other games, but you also get some cute art that references those games. And finally, the music is easily one of my favorite Kirby soundtracks. It's so good. If the word friendship was a type of music, it would be this. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. D tier. I'm gonna say this right now. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is my favorite Kirby game in the entire series. You know what? I'm gonna go a step further. It's easily one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. So I think you know which tier I'm gonna put it in. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I was really surprised to see how much movement Kirby's got here. Playing them here was easily one of my favorite playstyles in the entire franchise. Stuff like guarding and dodging were stuff that I barely did in these games. But put that in a 3D environment and I spam it almost impulsively. Copy abilities also got reworked for the new dimension. There's only 12 of them and there's less moves for each of them, but they're still really fun to use. Some abilities got reworked entirely, like Needle, which is one of my favorites in this game for being able to turn into a spiky ball and crush everything. Abilities can be upgraded now to be stronger than ever before. To be fair, some of them are just as simple as more damage, but some just change how you play. Like, upgrading the new Ranger ability makes you dual-wield guns. Upgrading Bomb will give you chain explosions. You know, stuff like that. I also just want to say that I love the set pieces. I adore the aesthetic of overgrown vegetation. It really makes the land feel more forgotten, for lack of a better word. It also amplifies the conventional world tropes and makes them more memorable. Stuff like the shopping mall in Natural Plains, the giant snow-ridden city of Winter Horns, and Twendaria remains just being a whole amusement park, with rides, parades, and even haunted houses. It's all just really fun. But you know what else is fun? Kirby. So yeah, mouthful mode. Definitely one of the strangest gimmicks that a game would have. Kirby can wrap their entire body over certain objects to control them. They're all so damn goofy, it's adorable. You can inhale this car, this comically large light bulb, a ring, a traffic cone, a vending machine, and these archways. The sections that they're in obviously revolve around them, like using the car mouth to drive on a racetrack, or using the ring mouth to steer a boat, or using the vending mouth to shoot tin cans at shutter doors. I can keep going on. But the best usage of this feature is easily inhaling an 18-wheeler and hitting God with it. I've never felt this energy when playing a Kirby game. The platforming combined with the music being a remix of the Invincibility theme is just so hype. I actually popped off here in my first playthrough and it was so invigorating. Kirby is one of my favorite franchises ever, which is kind of the reason why I set out to do something like this. And I think with that, I got to learn more about this series that I love so much, both the good and the bad. Regardless, I don't care, I'm just excited to see what's next.